Hello and welcome to the latest episode of the GW Basketball Insiders podcast. I'm Liam Murku alongside David Korn and special guest, GW men's basketball head coach Chris Caputo. Biggest news in GW men's basketball world is they'll be participating in the Crown. So that is kind of really what we're here to talk about. And I mean, I guess we can kind of start off with a reflection on last week at the Atlantic 10 tournament. And then we can get into the Crown later. So I guess my first question is, what are your kind of biggest takeaways from last week at Capital One Arena?
Okay, before I answer your question, I got a question for you guys. How old were you guys in 2016, the last time? I mean, 17 CBI, it's a tournament. It was kind of pay to play, right? So 16 was NIT. It's the one where you don't have to pay, you get invited. So how old are you guys in 2016?
I was 15. I was a freshman in high school.
Oh, okay.
I was in eighth grade.
Okay, all right. Just wondering, curiosity.
That was slick. I liked that move. That was good. That was good.
Yeah. So, Look, I like the tournament being in DC. I thought we had a challenging game with Fordham just because I thought Fordham was, having just played us. They were going to be prepared and the way in which we beat them. But we kind of won, I thought, in an exciting fashion. And then, another matchup with Mason that, I think they're playing some of their best basketball. I thought we had a great environment. I wish our students were in town. That would have been great to have students there for us. But I thought it was a good day for the DMV, having the two teams playing. Uncharacteristic scoring half from both teams. 42-38 is a little bit different than 19-13, what it was here. But again, to their credit, they came out and I thought they really tightened the screws defensively. And again, they had a great half, and that's to their credit. And I thought they're worthy, obviously, postseason team. Veteran team. Someone told me today they're like the third oldest team in all of college basketball by age, which doesn't surprise me, or second or something like that. But I think they're, like many teams in our league, worthy for NCAA tournament consideration. And, the old model, if you're going off RPI, they probably would have been in. So, but I was proud of our guys. I mean, I wish we would have played a little bit better in the second half. And it's one of the reasons why I was, if you go back to, our game at their place, wish we would have made a free throw, but I was critical of some of the officiating late and uncharacteristic of me. But I knew how good they were, and I knew how hard it is to win at a place like that against a team that's that good. And so I was really upset for our guys that we brought it, for 40 minutes and had every opportunity to win that game, because I just don't think you can do that. And then again, at our place, a little bit different. They jumped us in the second half. We came back, take a lead. But at their place, I was so mad because I'm thinking like, hey, they're really, really good. And it's hard to go win on the road against a team like that. And when you have every opportunity to do it, you have to seize it. You can't walk out of there without the W, and certainly if it's out of your hands. So, in any case, I was proud of our group and impressed with our league in terms of the quality of teams, and the quality of play. And I thought DC is a great location for our conference tournament.
So because you brought this up with that game at Mason, I just want to, I was sort of wondering this. Did you end up getting fined for your comments?
No. I think it was close. But I did not. And I was, I would say I was right more often than I was wrong in terms of the factual evidence, put it that way.
All right, great. I just wanted to clarify that because I know that was something some people were wondering. So let's get into some Crown talk right now. Why people are here. I know there's a lot of excitement within the GW fan base and the GW community about the opportunity to participate in a postseason event. And again, there's some big names in this tournament. I know the first name that will sort of jump out to GW fans is Georgetown, like an opportunity to maybe play them throughout the tournament. So I guess my first question with the Crown is, how did this opportunity sort of present itself to you guys, and what was the sort of behind the scenes like of communications with Fox Sports about this, and with sort of just getting you guys in the mix?
Well, we're really excited about it. I think, again, and I was joking with you guys about how long it's been, but I think for our program, 21 wins, best Ken Palm in a while, best net ever, 500 record in the league, super competitive in the league, winning a game in the tournament to get to the quarterfinals for the first time in quite some time. Like, all those things have been a year of real progress for us, considering where we were, and really with a great group of guys, and so we all were hoping that we'd be in postseason. We thought a logical step, but you didn't. Again, and it's no disrespect to the CBI, which I know is a good tournament for people and has helped people in the past. For us, we felt like, if we were invited to something, we would participate, but we certainly we weren't going to go pay to play in tournaments, right? Not for financial reasons, but just for feel like, hey, where our league is, and the seventh best league and all that stuff. So as soon as we lost to Mason, I thought, okay, yeah, we're probably in consideration for some postseason, but probably not quite, guaranteed. We're probably on that bubble. We spoke to the NIT. They said we were very much, in consideration. The Crown reached out to us almost instantly after we lost and said, hey, would you be interested? And those conversations went, throughout the weekend. And we probably got the call to confirm that we would be in the Crown Sunday afternoon. So at that point, I think there was a little bit, there's going to be some power schools in it, right? The Big East, the Big 12, and the Big 10 are contractually obligated to send some teams. So you knew the quality of play was going to be really high. You didn't really know what the whole field would look like. But the idea to go to Las Vegas, that this was in a big time setting, both at the MGM Arena, and then eventually if you could get to the to the semi at T-Mobile, the idea that it's national television every game, Fox Sports 1, or on linear Fox if you get to the semi as well. That stuff was very, very appealing, knowing that you might have a chance to play a very high quality opponent, which we are obviously in Boise, a perennial NCAA tournament team. And while they're not in one of those power leagues, they're certainly a great litmus test for us to see where we're at, knowing that, we've got work to do, but it's a good opportunity now to get a look at that. Good opportunity for us from the Atlantic 10 to go up against the Mountain West, to a league that, we compete with for bids and all that. So I think we're excited, about the opportunity.
Yeah. So you talked a bit about the timeline for being in conversations with these tournaments. So you said you accepted the Crown bid Sunday afternoon. Did you sort of preemptively decline any sort of NIT opportunity then? Or how was that conversation like between both tournaments, knowing that there was some at least mutual interest on both sides?
It's pretty complicated, and this is the first year of it. So I would just say, once we knew we were in the Crown, we kind of just, hey, we have to commit, because you don't know if you're in the other one, So, I wouldn't say we declined the NIT or anything. I just feel like, we in the first year of this, we were in a position to feel like we needed to be in postseason. We were hopeful that we'd be in. The minute we got the opportunity to be in the Crown, we knew we had to go with that.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, I think something that one of the big things that sticks out about the Crown to a lot of people is that it doesn't start until the 31st of March.
A little bit complicated. Yep.
Yeah. So can you kind of talk about, I mean, obviously it seemed like you guys were pretty, adamant you wanted to play in postseason, but yeah. I know that there was, I saw something that St. Louis apparently decided to play in the NIT over the Crown because they said they didn't want to wait kind of as long. So can you just kind of talk about the logistics of that a little bit and whether that factored into the decision at all?
Yeah. Look, we feel pretty confident that we will have a nice core returning, right? And so, you never say never in this day and age. You never exactly know, but we feel pretty confident, right? So there's a part of us that says, hey, this is an opportunity for that core of guys to go experience postseason. Hopefully, that can eventually lead us to, more postseason in the future. We talk to the players, probably Saturday night, I had a conversation with a few guys, and some of the guys, kind of got together and just said, okay, do we want to play? Everyone wanted to play. And so, one of the things about being in the program right now is we've really stressed, about being about competition, being about competitors. And I know that's what everyone says, right? But like part of being a competitor is like, hey, when you're asked to play, you play. When you're asked to prepare to play, you prepare to play. And we're never going to turn down. I don't think we're in any position as a program after what's gone on for 9 years to like say no to people, right? And say, oh, we're not going to play. We're quitting, whatever. Like, that's just not what we're going to be about here. And we have a bunch of guys that love basketball. We have a bunch of guys that love to compete. Now, doesn't mean that circumstances for different guys will, could potentially change in the next 10 days or whatever, like for whatever different things. But ultimately, every guy on our team would like the opportunity to compete. I think obviously it's pretty fun. There's an NIL component to this, which is cool, but also, again, playing on national television for our institution, from where we've been, I think, again, is a big time opportunity for us at GW. And we're not going to, worry about when it is and all that. We're just going to show up, like we always do, try to compete.
So you expect to have your full roster competing with you at the Crown as of now?
I would say yes. Now, again, there could be one or two circumstances, just different things, an injury here or something that might, maybe it's not every single guy, but it'll be close to every guy. Yeah. And it could be every guy.
And again, not to like assume that players on your roster will be entering the portal, but I feel like that's sort of what at least some people believe to be an inevitability for any team in sort of this day and age. Would it be possible, again, because this is the first year of the Crown, the first year there's been a postseason tournament like this late that isn't like the NCAA tournament, would it be possible for there to be a situation where a player could be entering their name in the portal or maybe expressing their desire to do that, but still be participating with you in this tournament?
I would say it would be possible. Yeah. I think every circumstance is different, so you have to kind of feel through that. And you got to make sure that there's a lot of clarity as to, the job we're going to Vegas to do. We're not going on a Vegas vacation. This is not Clark Griswold here, like we're trying to go out there and win some games. But there's a real possibility of that. And I would say there's no precedent. I told the staff, I've really been fortunate in my career as an assistant coach and now as a head coach. Like, I've pretty much experienced everything you could experience as it relates to college basketball. I mean, whether it be the Final Four, the Elite Eight, the Sweet 16, around the 32, winning, losing in the first round, getting upset in the first round, winning, losing in the NIT championship game, going on the road in the NIT and losing a game, winning a game at home in the NIT, playing in the CBI, winning a conference title, losing there just hasn't been many experiences as it relates to postseason that I have not had some experience with as a head coach or an assistant coach. But right now, this is new for everybody, right? To say, hey, you're going to take 2 weeks, before you play. So some of this is going to be trial by fire, and I will do my best to evaluate the whole situation and make sure we're putting ourselves in best position to be successful, knowing that maybe I go backwards and say, and you guys can have me back on in the summer and say, hey, Chris, you should have done this. And we're like, hey, you know what? You're probably right. Or I thought about that and I maybe decided to do something different. But if I had to do this again, I might do it a different way. There's no precedent. There's no coach you can call and say, hey, what did you do when you played in this tournament? What did you do in this situation when you had 2 weeks off? There's nothing. So we're doing the best we can with how we evaluate this. But the best part of it for us is we've got great kids that I think really enjoy being with each other, really enjoyed competing. We're not perfect. Nobody's perfect. But we've got a good group of people who I think like to play basketball, like to compete. And so when given the opportunity, plus I think if I said we were doing this in, some strange outpost, maybe the guys would be like, I don't know. But when you're like, no, hey, we're going to Vegas, guys, Rafael Castro was like, man, I've never been to the West Coast. I want to do this. This is fun, So.
Really? That's fun. So you kind of mentioned the 2 weeks off there. Can you talk about maybe the matchup with Boise State? I imagine from a kind of logistical preparation perspective, it's a pretty unique, but kind of what I imagine you're kind of pretty early in your prep still, but kind of for people who may not be familiar with them, I know that they were actually pretty close to making the NCAA tournament. So kind of what does that matchup kind of look like for you guys?
Yeah, I mean, we're pretty early in our prep. We have a tremendous amount of respect for them. Leon Rice is a guy who was a longtime assistant at Gonzaga and went to Boise and just has done a phenomenal job. NCAA tournament, I believe, maybe 3 years in a row, right? And so I think an excellent coach, excellent program. A lot of respect for what he's done. They have a player in Degenhardt who's been like first team all league, like I feel like almost every year of his career there, maybe the last three. Veteran team, really good. I think that they, they're one of these programs that's, this is like playing a VCU or a Dayton, where they're a perennial NCAA tournament type team, and a very, top 50 Ken Palm or whatever. So great challenge for us. But I also think kind of a litmus test again for us. Okay, where do we need to go? Can we compete with people like this? And I think the answer is yes. But and then hey, what does the Atlantic 10 look like against the Mountain West, the leagues that kind of get compared to each other quite a bit?
So Coach, like you mentioned a few times throughout this interview, this is the first year of this tournament, a lot of unprecedented stuff where a lot of the people here in the dark. So when we sort of put online that we were having this conversation with you, we got a few questions.
Sure.
One of them is from a big GW basketball fan, big fan of the show, Brendan Fusco. He was curious about how these sort of matchups were determined for the first round.
Simply by the Fox, I believe, sure there were contingencies based on like let's say whether a West Virginia decided to play or not, right? Because that's part of the Big 12, right? So we knew we were in. It wasn't like we were waiting on West Virginia at that point. We knew we were in prior to the selection show. But like I'm sure every matchup got evaluated by Fox as to what they thought was best for them and for the tournament. So it's not like we had a chance to ask anybody.
Yeah. So kind of, I've got like one question and then a bit of a follow-up question. So, do you know, is the trophy, is it an actual crown? Do we know?
It may be. It may be. Yeah.
If it's not, then it really should be.
Although with my hair, I wouldn't want to put a crown on here, So.
And then my second question is, so here you are representing George Washington University. Has it crossed your mind that George Washington is probably one of the most famous kind of anti-crown historical figures, and here you are representing in the crown? So, I mean, can I have your thoughts about representing someone who's notoriously anti-crown in the crown?
Well, yeah, I mean, I get that, and I maybe I'll just take the crown and break it when we if we win the whole tournament. The crown jewel. Yeah, and I would say too, from a branding standpoint, I think you'll notice, you may have noticed, I'm trying to use the George's head as much as possible, and the dribbling George. I just think like, hey, we got one of the guys, like, one of the guys. Like when you say like, what do you mean one of the guys? Or like one of the guys, like of all the guys ever, like of all time, he's one of the main guys. Like we should use that guy, right? We should use that guy. Like honestly, your logo for the GW Basketball Insiders probably just needs to be a picture of the guy. You probably need a little bit of a branding refresh there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm a big fan of GW himself, and I think we should be using that as much as possible.
And Coach, we're so appreciative of your time here, getting on here. honestly answering all of these questions that us and a lot of other basketball fans have, not just GW fans, a lot of basketball fans have been wondering these sort of things. So I'm going to give you a chance to talk about what I know is something you're probably very excited about, and is the release of some of the JFK files. And so, one, how psyched are you with the timing that you might have? Obviously, again, working the portal.
A little bit of time. Yep, got a little bit of time.
But like, this is in the schedule of a D1 college basketball head coach. Honestly, you might have a few spare hours. So how excited are you about the release, and what is something that you might be looking for in these files?
Yeah, I would suggest that anybody who really cares goes and follows Jefferson Morley on Twitter. He's actually a DC guy. He's been to some GW basketball games, believe it or not, as my guest. He's one of the foremost experts on these documents, and we're going to be looking at how many redactions there are. And so we'll know based on the number of redactions whether this is legit stuff or not. But yeah, it's my little side project that I work on every once in a while. I'm excited about reading what all the guys who really are studying this thing will say about what gets released. So we'll see. Won't know today, but by sometime tomorrow, you'll get some stuff from Jeff Morley and others that Matt Crumpton, who's another guy who has a great podcast called Solving JFK. I would advise those that are interested to listen to that podcast. That's about as good as it gets.
Can we expect a reaction on Twitter from you?
Potentially, I know Mike Lombardi is my partner in this, and he's busy with Coach Belichick putting together a football roster in North Carolina. So, Mike just doesn't have quite as much time anymore to study this as much as he probably would like to. But I'm sure Mike and I will talk about this stuff here in the next week or so.
Good. Well, listen, it's always nice to have things going on outside of basketball. So I'm glad that you've got the JFK.
Pretty much it. My family, basketball, JFK assassination, Pearl Jam. That's it. Yeah.
That's a full life.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's about it. David, do you have any more questions? Anything else?
This isn't really a question, but I just one of the things we saw on Twitter when it was announced that GW would be participating is that I believe this was a Loyola Chicago fan. They say if you guys, when they want to see your head be broadcast on the Sphere in Las Vegas. So I just want to make sure you're aware of that, and that's something that people are thinking
about. Okay. Weird, but it's a great idea. I'll suggest to Fox people. My mom would probably like seeing that.
How good forget about the brand of George Washington. It would be great for your brand, just having your face all over the.
Can I get an NIL deal from James Dolan?
Wait, okay, hold on. That was actually the NIL was actually. So there is some NIL money at stake. Do we know how much is at stake? Do we because I haven't seen many publicly available details.
Someone told me I think a total of $500,000.
Okay.
It would be I don't know, maybe 50 if you make the semi for each team, 100 if you make the final, and then 300 if you win it or something like that. Yeah, I think that's cool. Yeah, could be good day's work for some guys. So that part's unique, and I think that's the other side of it. What makes this thing pretty cool. So, and I think maybe pointing towards the future of these postseason events outside of the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, for sure.
Way to get that question in, Liam. My bad for forgetting that. Coach, appreciate the time. Again, you gave us very generous so that we know how busy this time is, especially with the upcoming release of the JFK files. So thank you for some time today, and we're excited to watch GW participate in the crown.
All right, guys. See ya. We'll talk soon.